The Buffalo Bills are walking into Monday night with more than just a game on the line. After a gut punch of a loss to the Patriots, this team isn't just looking to get back in the win column. They're looking to reestablish their identity. And when things get shaky, there's one guy everyone looks to, number 17. Josh Allen. The cape is coming on, and it's coming on early. This isn't about waiting until the second half to turn it up. This is about setting the tone right from the opening snap, because Josh knows the defense isn't where it needs to be, and if the Bills are going to keep pace in the AFC, it's going to be on his shoulders. And let's be clear, he wasn't great last week. Turnovers, missed opportunities, and that head-scratching handoff to Dawson Knox that never should have been called in the first place. That's on coaching, sure, but when you're the face of the franchise, some of that lands on you, too. Josh Allen knows that. You can see in the way he's carried himself since that game. Less bounce in the step, less fire on the sidelines. The frustration boiled over. But that's why this Monday Night Lights matchup against the Falcons is huge. Not just for the standings, but for the soul of this team. Now, let's talk about where this game is being played. The Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Open roof. Monday night. National audience. You don't think Josh is fired up for that? He lives for this kind of moment. And with the bye week waiting on the other side, the Bills can afford to put a little more on his plate. Expect more designed runs, more improvisation, more of that backyard football magic that only Josh Allen can pull off. 9 carries last week. Expect more. The Falcons like to play man coverage. That's asking for trouble when your opponent is Josh Allen with space in front of him. This is a game tailor-made for him to take over. But he can't do it alone. That's where James Cook comes in, back in his old stomping grounds, returning to Georgia where he made his name with the Bulldogs. And let's be honest, he didn't get the ball enough last week. 15 touches? Not nearly enough for a player of his caliber, especially when your offensive line has been consistently dominant in the run game. Cook's been explosive all year, and there were moments last Sunday where he was visibly itching to get back in, standing on the sideline, bouncing, waiting for the call that never came. That needs to change. Sean McDermott talked about getting too cute with the play calling. And while that might have been aimed at the jet sweep to Knox, it also reflects a bigger issue with how they're using their weapons. Joe Brady has done a solid job since stepping in as offensive coordinator, but last week felt like he wanted to put his stamp on the game a little too hard. Flea flickers? Jet sweeps? That's not who this team is. This isn't about proving how creative you are. This is about winning. And winning means giving the ball to your playmakers in situations that work. James Cook needs 20 touches in this game, minimum. You drafted him for this. Let him eat. And what's been most frustrating is that Buffalo's offense doesn't need to be complicated. It just needs to be consistent. You've got a top-tier quarterback, a bruising run game, and a receiving group that can make plays when called upon. Lean into what works. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel, because when you're in a funk, you go back to the fundamentals. Heavy doses of Josh. Plenty of Cook. Play action. Run the ball with purpose. Be physical. Be aggressive. That's how you get your rhythm back. Now, turning to the defense, this is where things get real. The injuries have piled up, and there's no sugarcoating that. No Matt Milano. No Daquan Jones. Ed Oliver's return would be a massive boost, but nothing's official just yet. Still, there are guys who can step up, and it starts with Shaq Lawson. He's looked rejuvenated this year, smarter, faster, and more locked in. And in a game like this, where the Falcons are going to try to pound the rock and hit you underneath with Drake London and Kyle Pitts, you need discipline. You need veterans who know how to tackle and take good angles. Shaq's been through the battles. He's played under McDermott before. He knows what's expected. And if Dorian Williams is back, you pair him with Bernard, but Shaq needs to be out there leading the charge. One thing this defense cannot afford is missed tackles. You're going up against Bijan Robinson, one of the slipperiest backs in the league. He doesn't just break tackles. He makes defenders look silly in the open field. This can't be one of those games where you're in the right spot, but don't finish the play. That's how you give up chunk yards and long drives. You need population to the football. 2, 3 guys in every lane flying to the ball. That has to be the mindset, and it has to be led by veterans like Shaq. Another key name, Christian Benford. The expectations were high for him this season, and while he hasn't been bad, he hasn't been the shutdown guy fans hoped for. But this game could be the one where he takes that next step. Drake London is really the only consistent receiving threat the Falcons have, outside of some Pitts moments and whatever Bijan does out of the backfield. That's your assignment, Benford. Shadow him. Follow him. Lock him down on third and medium, because that's where the Falcons want to live. You're not going to see Michael Penix. Yes, that Michael Penix going deep often. It's going to be those quick, intermediate throws, and that plays into Benford's strength. Anticipation. Breaking on the ball. That's his game. He needs to be ready, because those third downs could be the difference between a short punt and an exhausting, deflating drive that ends with points. The Bills need someone to step up in the secondary. This isn't just about the defensive backs. It's about scheme. Get the safeties involved. Bring them closer to the line. Don't be afraid to take some risks. You know Penix doesn't have that deep ball confidence yet. Force him to beat you over the top. Don't let him nickel and dime you to death. That's how Atlanta wants to win: boring, methodical, and draining. Buffalo can't let that happen. And finally, assuming he's back, Ed Oliver. This guy hasn't played since the opener, but when he's on the field, he's a disruptor. He's the spark on that defensive line, and they've missed that presence. You've seen flashes from guys like Poona Ford and Tim Settle, but it's not the same. Ed's ability to penetrate, shoot gaps, and get into the backfield gives this defense an entirely different energy. If he's back, and all signs point to it, he needs to make his presence felt early. A tackle for loss, a quarterback pressure, something to wake this unit up and say, we're still here. Because let's be real, the Bills are thin right now. The IR list is longer than anyone would like, and help isn't exactly coming from outside. This defense has to make do with what it's got. No more waiting for someone else to make the play. It's about owning your role, winning your rep, and getting off the field when it counts. You've got one of the best offenses in football. Get them the ball back. That's the mission. This isn't a must-win, but it's a must-respond. You drop 2 straight heading into the bye, both against teams you should beat. That's a long 2 weeks of noise, doubt, and second-guessing. But a win on the road, in prime time, against a tricky Falcons squad, that's the kind of momentum that can reset the season. That's the kind of response you expect from a Josh Allen-led team, from a Sean McDermott locker room, from the Buffalo Bills. This matchup against Atlanta isn't just about redemption. It's about recalibrating everything that makes the Buffalo Bills dangerous. The formula isn't a secret. It's Josh Allen playing fearless but composed, James Cook getting enough touches to leave a mark, and a defense that doesn't have to be perfect but absolutely needs to be reliable. And if there's ever a moment to lean into your identity, it's now, because Atlanta, for all its young talent and flash, is beatable. The Bills just can't afford to beat themselves again. The Falcons' offense, while not explosive, is sneaky. Bijan Robinson can do damage if he gets into rhythm, and Kyle Pitts, when healthy and engaged, is a mismatch nightmare. But beyond that, it drops off fast. Drake London is a solid option, but the chemistry with Michael Penix Jr., who's still learning to adjust to NFL speed, isn't there yet. Atlanta isn't built to chase points. They're built to grind games down, stay close, and hope you make the big mistake. That's the trap. That's what the Bills walked into against New England, playing on someone else's terms. Sean McDermott said it himself. They played the game the Patriots wanted. That cannot happen again. This has to be Buffalo imposing its will. Offensively, that means fast starts. The Bills are at their best when they punch first. Whether that's with tempo, quick reads, or letting Josh Allen take off early, it has to happen. The worst thing this team can do is let Atlanta settle in and shorten the game. And it's not about scoring 40 points. It's about scoring early, building pressure, and forcing Atlanta to take risks they're not built to take. When the Bills build a lead, they change the way opponents call games. That's when the turnovers start. That's when the defense starts flying around. But that only works if the offense doesn't stall. And stalling often happens when the Bills drift away from what works. It's one thing to be unpredictable. It's another to be inconsistent. Josh Allen throwing into double coverage. Weird motion plays with tight ends. Low percentage deep shots on second and short. That's not chaos. That's sloppiness. And this offense doesn't need to be flashy. It needs to be surgical. Spread the ball. Use play action. Let Khalil Shakir and Dalton Kincaid move the chains. Let Gabe Davis stretch the field occasionally, but don't force it. And when it's time to kill the clock, that's James Cook time. You've got the tools. Use them the right way. Defensively, it's all about fundamentals. Because Atlanta's game plan is going to be straightforward. They're going to try to run the ball, test your tackling, and throw just enough to keep you honest. So this is a game where gap discipline matters, where sure tackling isn't optional. You miss against Bijan, it's 10 extra yards. You blow a zone read against Penix, it's a back-breaking first down. That's how a team like the Falcons strings together drives. They don't explode. They drain. One mistake at a time. That's where Buffalo's linebackers need to be sharp. Tyrell Dodson, Terrell Bernard, whoever is out there, they got to clean up the middle. The edges matter too. Greg Rousseau, A.J. Epineza, Leonard Floyd, this is your time. Atlanta's offensive line isn't elite. They're serviceable. They can be moved. But you've got to win early and make Penix uncomfortable. The rookie isn't going to outthink you. Not yet. But if you give him time, any quarterback can get into a rhythm. Disrupt him. Confuse him. And when you get him in third and long, that's where guys like Benford and Micah Hyde need to capitalize. This defense doesn't have the luxury of sitting back anymore. They need to dictate. Getting Ed Oliver back, if it holds up, is more than just a lift. It's an identity shift. He brings fire. He brings violence off the line. And most importantly, he demands attention. That frees up guys like Rousseau and even Bernard on delayed blitzes. Ed's impact won't always show in the box score, but you'll see it in the disruption, in the way the pocket collapses, in the way the quarterback hurries his reads. That's what Buffalo's been missing up front. A guy who sets the tone, not just plays his role. But beyond the XS and OS, this is about energy. The kind of energy the Bills lacked last week. Home game, division rival, and yet it felt flat, emotionless. There was no swagger. That's where leadership matters. Guys like Josh, like Deion Dawkins, like Jordan Poyer. This team needs to come out angry, not reckless, just pissed, because they should be. That Patriots game wasn't just a loss. It was an embarrassment, and you either learn from that or let it linger. This Falcons team isn't a pushover. They're physical. They're well-coached. They'll make you earn every inch. But the Bills are better. They're deeper. They're more experienced. They have the better quarterback, the better offensive line, the better ceiling. But none of that matters if the focus isn't there. Buffalo has to match Atlanta's physicality and then overwhelm them with execution. It's not just a talent game. It's a mindset game. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. Whispers are stirring in the NFL, and the latest bombshell comes straight from Buffalo. Star running back James Cook didn't hold back in a recent interview, sending shockwaves through Bills Nation with a statement that could reshape the team's dynamic. If he comes back, I'm leaving the Bills. The he in question? Cornerback Levi Wallace. Wallace, a veteran presence in the Bills secondary, has been linked with a potential return to Buffalo after a stint elsewhere. Known for his lockdown coverage and veteran savvy, Wallace's name has been floated in trade talks and free agency rumors for weeks. But Cook's declaration suggests that, behind the scenes, not everyone is thrilled about the possibility of Wallace returning. Sources close to the team say tension has been brewing for a while. Cook, who has quickly become one of the most exciting offensive weapons in Buffalo, has clashed with veteran teammates in the past over touches and offensive schemes. While Wallace and Cook haven't publicly feuded before, insiders hint at a possible clash of personalities, one that could disrupt the team's chemistry if Wallace is reinstated. Fans on social media are already picking sides. Some argue that Wallace's experience is invaluable, especially for a secondary that has struggled with injuries. Others sympathize with Cook, seeing him as the future face of the franchise and a player who deserves to feel empowered on the field. The debate has become a lightning rod for discussion, with hashtags trending and podcasts dedicating entire segments to the potential showdown. Bills management now faces a delicate balancing act. Do they bring back a familiar defensive anchor, potentially risking the morale of their star running back? Or do they let Wallace walk to maintain harmony in the locker room? Either way, the rumor mill is in overdrive, and Buffalo could be a crossroads as the offseason unfolds. If Cook follows through on his warning, it could trigger a domino effect that reshapes not only the Bills' backfield, but their entire roster strategy. For now, fans can only watch and wait, knowing that sometimes the most compelling stories in sports happen far off the field. One thing is certain: the Buffalo locker room just got a lot more interesting. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.